Hello, welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Melva Pezzella from Lionheart Consulting. She is a certified MBTI facilitator. Now I know what that is and you're about to find out. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Why don't you let's just start with what is, give us an overview of Lionheart Consulting.
I started my business in June of 2014, and I had been in a business that helps people on the outside, and so I decided I wanted to do something to help people on the inside out. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in a family of psychologists mm-hmm. and helpers. People helpers. And mm-hmm. so I knew about the Myers-Briggs because my dad was a psychologist and we knew all about all the psychological testing that can be done.
Okay, so Myers-Briggs, when you mention that is a test.
Actually, it's not a test.
Okay.
It is an assessment.
I made a mistake. See, I thought I knew what MBTI was. Apparently, I don't. Okay, so all right, so go ahead and tell us then. Why don't you tell us what MBTI is?
Okay.
So when you say Myers-Briggs, they know what you're talking about.
Yeah, MBTI stands for the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator.
Okay.
And it is the most widely used personality assessment in the world.
Uh-huh.
On an average, 2 million to 3 million people take this assessment a year.
Okay, wow, that's a lot.
Yes, and it was derived from the works of Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. And there were two women, Catherine Briggs and her daughter Isabel Myers-Briggs, that decided to study his works and use this assessment to help, actually when it started, to help women find the right place in a workforce during the war.
Okay, interesting. So,
yes.
So what does this assessment do? So the reason you stopped me is this isn't a test.
It's not a test.
Okay, that's what you were, okay,
yeah.
That's the clarification. Okay, so it's an assessment. So
right.
What does this assessment show you?
The assessment is, it's a little complicated, but I'll try to make it simple. There are different preferences that we have according to Mr. Jung and Mrs. Briggs and Miss Myers. And they go on a scale, they're dichotomies from extroversion to introversion, sensing to intuition, thinking to feeling, and perceiving to judging. And so in this assessment, we get different varieties of these different dichotomies. And you're either an extrovert or an introvert or in between. And so when you take the assessment, you will come up with a 4-letter type, including one of each of those dichotomies. And it tells a lot about your personality, how you get your energy, how you make decisions, how you work or relate to the world, and how you process information. So it's very special, actually.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about who you do this for in a minute. But okay, so a person receiving this assessment, they can utilize this assessment to improve?
Yeah, there's several things that it can do, okay. And different people take the assessment for different reasons. Some people just want to know how they're wired. Some people want to know how they can communicate better with others. It could be personal or it could be professional at the workplace. I do work with individuals, and I also do work with small companies and larger companies. And with the small companies and larger companies, we usually work with the teams. Mm-hmm. There may be some conflict in the teams at work, and so using the assessment helps kind of narrow down why the conflict is happening. Mm-hmm. And how it can be improved upon.
Okay, so would somebody use use it to capitalize on their strengths where they say, well, I'm really strong in this area, so they could focus more on that?
Yes.
Okay, and then they could also use it to say, well, I really need to work on this.
Absolutely. There may be, let's say you are a professional and you're in sales with your company, but you are more of you prefer introversion. You're more of an introvert.
You got a problem.
And you got a problem. But you're good.
Been there, done that.
You are personable, but you have to learn and work on building your strength on the introversion style if you're going to continue in sales, more than likely.
Right.
So it shows where your strengths are and where your weaker strengths are, of which to improve upon. So it also is helpful in people finding the right career. Sales for an introvert may not be the exact place for them. They may be a better employee in a different position.
Okay. All right. So now you mentioned you had a background and your family was involved in, what did you say,
psychology?
Psychology. So is that how you became interested in this?
I think so. I think it was kind of it just kind of rolled with that. My dad is a psychologist and a professor at Appalachian State University. He is retired now. My older brother is a counselor. My younger brother is a counselor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a family big time.
Right. And one of my nieces is becoming a social worker. So we've all been in the helping professions in that way. And I've always enjoyed the inner thinkings of what's going on up there.
Why do people do what
Why
they
people
do?
do what they do.
I think a lot of us wonder that about some people. Okay, so what do you have to do to become a master practitioner?
Actually, I am in the master program at this point. To become certified, you have to go through, it's about a week-long, 24/7 training. And it is by a facilitator that is mastered in this profession. And there are tests that we have to do every day for that. And that after the end of that, you have to pass the test to become certified. If you don't pass the test, you can come back and do it again. So I did pass. I did pass. Yes. To become a master practitioner, you have to go through a little bit more. The master practitioner program involves 40 hours of actual more training, online training and class training. I could go to San Diego for training if I wanted to. I could go to Northern Virginia for training, whatever's available. But we have to clock 40 hours of that. And the other part is 40 hours of actual one-on-one experience with clients. So I am starting that. I've actually gotten a few good hours in there. And so it's becoming it's a practical use of the information in the material.
This training is how to analyze this assessment.
How to understand it and how to help other people understand what their results are.
Yeah, how to convey that to others.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so we talked about how the assessment's used and what it measures. So let's talk about who would be good clients for you, because you mentioned small business, you mentioned large business, but yeah, I know that you also work with individuals. So who's a good
is
client?
it?
Yeah, who isn't a good client?
The individuals are people that may be just curious, if you will, about the Myers-Briggs. It's a very well-known assessment. So some people have taken it online, but as I mentioned to you, if you take it online, you don't get me. So, and the understanding of it and able to ask questions about this, and that about this assessment. So some people that want to find out more about how they can improve on communication, on how they can learn how to maybe make decisions better, how they can learn how to a step-by-step approach. Some people are a step-by-step approach. Some people have a big vision. So if you're working with someone with the big vision aspect, you are going to need to have a little bit more big vision to be able to communicate well. The other small businesses are small teams. And it may be 3 people in the office. It could be a doctor's office and working with the staff there. It could be a dental office working with the staff there. Just one for information about themselves and how they communicate and work with other people, because we're not all alike. We're all very different. And let's just say someone has a little conflict with one particular person. I can tell you just by my own understanding that once you understand yourself and your type, and you have more of an understanding of the other types, you might be a little bit more compassionate with the other person.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Larger teams would be with larger companies, Centera, any of the Bon Secours, any of the other companies, not just medical though.
Right, okay. All right, well, is there anything else that I haven't covered that you wanted to mention?
Rory, you've done really well.
Oh, well, thank you. I had a guide. But we had a good conversation before
Yes.
this interview. Well, it sounds very interesting, and I bet you, people can learn a lot through an assessment like that. All right, well, if you could use a little understanding of yourself or somebody else or your team, you want to work together better, understand how you all fit together or how you might improve it, you want to capitalize on your strengths or you want to work on your weaknesses, this assessment might be just what you need. So you can give Melva a call. Her contact information is at the end of this video. It's also at the bottom of this page. And I wish you a great deal of success with Lionheart Consulting. And
appreciate it.
And I'm glad you came in, and hope to possibly use your service here at some point in time.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.